Years after teaching abroad, I wanted to start some kind of online side hustle or online business. I wanted to carve a new path for myself. The problem was that there are so many paths to choose from, and I kept overthinking what I wanted, and stalling, and starting over, and going nowhere. And it was exhausting. I'm sure you can relate. You have some kind of decision to make, big or small, and you keep stalling. Maybe it's career, college major, a big plan or a project. Could even be your relationship or moving to a new city or not. Worst part is, we start to blame ourselves for stalling. And we even berate ourselves for it. But what if it's not our fault? Indecision is costing you more than you realize. And after years of indecision, starting and stalling, I just stayed stuck at square one. It cost me a lot, and I was pretty hard on myself. You could probably relate to this too. But what if it isn't our fault? Let's talk about what indecision is really costing you, and how you can finally start to take your power back. Indecision costs you a lot. One of the worst things it costs you is time. We might waste hours, days, or even years sitting on decisions. Again, could be related to your job or career, relationship, moving, businesses, passion projects. I'll tell you a couple of the ones that I had in just a moment. But you burn through so much energy thinking about these things that never materialize. You burn energy walking paths that you never walk. And that causes you to lose time. Life quietly passes you by while you just stay put. That's probably one of the worst consequences you could imagine. Especially because, not to get too deep, but we can never get that lost time back. There's always time to earn more money, to execute on plans, to try X, Y, and Z. But that time never comes back. Another big cost is confidence. Every time you avoid making a decision or you overthink and second guess, you're sending yourself a message subconsciously. And that message is, I don't trust myself. You're not trusting your decisions because you're not actually executing on your ideas. And this eats away at your confidence. You start to see yourself as a person who can't make decisions. You see yourself as a person who can't decide or commit. And in a very insidious way, those become beliefs about yourself. You believe that you are not trustworthy. You believe you can't decide. And it's a massive cost. Another huge cost is emotional fatigue. It's a very real thing. And every decision that's just left hanging, it's kind of like, it's like an open tab on your computer that just sits there open and never really getting resolved. Eventually, the more open tabs you have, the slower your computer's going to run. Procrastination starts to show up, you start to get burnt out, you might even just shut down completely. And I get it, because I have been there too. I have wasted a lot of time and energy, and even some relationships because of it. And you start to feel like something is wrong with you, that there's something off or something broken. But I want you to hear this next part very, very clearly. You were never taught how to make decisions. And that's not really your fault. You were most likely taught to fear mistakes and not really seek growth. And It's not intentional, but it ends up being the message we get from schools or from our parents. Oftentimes, the messages we get are not to make mistakes, to always get it right, don't mess up something. And again, it's not like it's deliberate. Our parents are, well, hopefully, they aren't deliberately putting those messages in your mind. But we start to associate praise and approval with not making mistakes, with getting things right. So the inverse of that, disapproval. And where does the disapproval come from? Making mistakes, getting something wrong, what we perceive as a failure. So in order to avoid that disapproval, we start to fear mistakes, otherwise known as fear of failure. Because we fear making mistakes and we fear failure, we end up overthinking and second guessing everything we do. We're afraid of that disapproval, so we panic when it comes to making the wrong decision. If you're a perfectionist, a people pleaser, or a high achiever, this was kind of programmed into you. You started to attach your self-worth to getting things right. And fearing the opposite leads you to overthinking so many things. And even if you don't attach your self-worth to always being right, there's still that deep down fear of disapproval. That's why this is such a common tendency. But here's the truth. Indecision and overthinking are not personal flaws. They're more so survival strategies that you've learned. And just because you have them, just because you're living them, doesn't mean you need to continue living them. I want to try to help you reframe decision making and making mistakes. What if decisions aren't necessarily about being right? And making mistakes doesn't have to equal failure or disapproval. What if they're more about learning and growing? Every time you make a mistake, you can learn, adapt, and improve from it. It took me years to try to get headwind in some kind of side hustle or business concept. I tried selling clothing from northern Thailand, tutoring, different kind of YouTube channels, blogging. I was a personal chef for a while, selling random crap online, The big problem was I was dwelling on the mistakes I made rather than learning from them and using them to grow. I was fearing the mistakes more than I was seeking learning and growth. Eventually things worked out and I got much more of a clear picture, but this would have been awesome to learn years ago. The next time you're stuck on a decision, big or small, try to use that reframe. Think, what could go right? And if something goes wrong, think, what can I learn from this? Or how can I grow from this? Because you're ready to be unstuck. You're ready to grow, learn, and move forward. And even if you stumble, even if you fall, just keep going forward. Stumbling forward will get you further than staying still. Indecision costs you. It can cost you your time, your confidence, your emotional energy. But it's not necessarily your fault. You've been trained to fear mistakes and fear disapproval more than you have to seek growth and learning. But you can start to unlearn that. You can start to ask, what can go right? And not being so paralyzed by what can go wrong. Hopefully that message resonates with you in some way. And if it did, please let me know down below. If you have any feedback as well, anything that I can do to help make this message better, I'm all ears. You're not alone. This channel is here to help you stop overthinking and start living more. So, thanks for watching if you made it this far, and I'll see you in the next one.